Thank you, thank you, thank you, and welcome to a Monday night. It's the first evening of spring. We made it. We made it through 3 months. Technically, on a calendar, we've made it through 3 months of winter. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Matthew. My last name is Grant. This is MattTv, and we are doing it live on Facebook. Facebook Live. Nick, how are you? So, obviously, not doing any MattTv over the weekend. Want to stick to a schedule of going 6 o'clock in the evening on the West Coast and doing it Monday through Friday. So the weekend, hello Austin, so the weekend gives me an opportunity to gather some insight into different stories that I might want to check out. So I know in previous shows I have been giving you, hello Jennifer, I've been giving you, the audience, just a bombardment of information. And I find going back and watching the video like a coach does after a game, I realized that when I was talking, the comments that were coming back were confusing me because I was going on so many topics. So tonight we're going to do things a little bit different. We have 60 minutes here on Facebook Live. So I just want to toss out a few subjects that we can discuss here on this open forum. I have found some links. I will share the information that I have found, and I would love for you to share that information that perhaps you can find on the internet and just kind of share with everyone so we have this collective knowledge. So tonight we're going to talk about the first day of spring. I don't know about you, but I actually set my alarm for 3:29 a.m. Pacific time when it was officially on the calendar, the first moments of spring. I set my alarm to make sure I was awake in that moment. So that's something I want to touch on in a bit. So we're going to talk about the first day of spring. How was your spring? Do you have any rituals? Do you get ready for cleaning? We're also going to talk about, I saw an interesting story on the weekend, circular runways. And this was on the BBC. You can check that out. We'll talk a little bit about that. Would you be safe if airports went from straight runways to circular runways? And we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also talk about permafrost and climate change. Are you a believer or are you not a believer? And we're going to talk about March Madness. It's the best college tournament on the planet, and I have some bad news, personal news, when it comes to the NCAA tournament, March Madness, and we'll get to that in just a moment. But I want to start the show off by giving some shout outs. It was a tremendous weekend for me and a lot of friends here in the Lower Mainland. Saturday night I had the opportunity to go to a 50th birthday party out in Aldergrove. Ronnie surrounded by many friends. It was a great night and just a lot of dancing, just a really good vibe. Hello Wayne. My wife and I went out and we just had so much fun. So that was night one, which was the Saturday night. Sunday, it was awesome because the Saturday night went right into, obviously, the stroke of midnight, and Sunday, which was March 19th, which marked my wife and I, our wedding anniversary. March 19th, we got married back in 2001 in Nepal, of all places. So Sunday was our anniversary. And today, so that just kind of flowed into the first day of spring. Hello, Wayne. So it's kind of like a trifecta of really good energy all weekend long. 50th birthday party, 16th wedding anniversary, and then the first day of spring. So pretty tremendous weekend for me personally out here. I hope your weekend was great as well. And I want to make a point to say to those individuals who take on the task of organizing their friends' big day, whether it's their 40th, 50th anniversaries, hats off to you, those who step up to the plate, because I can imagine organizing and preparing something for your friend has to be, I guess it could be stressful. I guess it depends on the relationship that you have with that individual. Also want to talk to outdoor enthusiasts. Especially those back on the East Coast. I've seen a lot of pictures. I know I have a lot of friends that do a lot of snowmobiling. And one of my friends put a picture up of doing 100 kilometers in a day, which is like going to Woodstock to Fredericton. 100 kilometers doesn't seem that great a distance on a sled, but I'm wondering for those snowmobilers out there, What's the longest daily trek that you have been on? And how do you stay focused, especially when it's just open terrain, it's sun, you got the glare off the snow? Just how do you deal with it? And how many people can you get together and go on these expeditions and, you know, make a day out of it, make it a couple days out of it? So I haven't been on a snowmobile in a long time, but I see people back east are really going out on these journeys. So just curious, those that are snowmobilers, what's your longest trek, and what's your your sketchiest trip that you got out into the wilderness and maybe you were by yourself and you just thought, this is it, I'm not getting out. I also want to say a shout out to Tiffany. I was talking to Tiffany this weekend. I hope all is well, Tiffany, with you. And Rowan Moon, and I'm still waiting for Rowan Moon to perhaps check out MattTv some night here on Facebook Live. Hello, Susan. So like I was saying earlier, the first day of spring, it arrived out here on the West Coast at 3:29 a.m., which would have been 7:29 in the Maritimes. And like I was saying, I set my alarm. I'm just going to refresh my page here. I set my alarm for 3:29 so I could actually wake up at this precise moment as directed by the Weather Network or whoever decides that's the right time to get up. And I remember years ago, I'm going back between my laptop here and the phone, and if you see me looking above the phone, it's because I have a whiteboard with a bunch of notes behind me. So, hello, William. So yeah, I just like I was saying earlier, I just wanted to switch things up. But so getting back to the first day of spring, which happened out here in the West Coast at 3:29, I remember when I turned 40. When I turned 40, I was here at home, and at the stroke of midnight, I recorded the final few moments of my 39th year and the very earliest moments of my 40th birthday. So I'm wondering, I love to take video. Are you the type of person that loves to capture the exact moment? A strange one for me back in, I think it was 2011. The numbers were 11, 11, 11, just weird things like that. Just wondering some cool events that maybe you have videotaped. I know out here on the West Coast, a lot of people will get up early on Canada Day, super early on Canada Day, and trek up to Seymour Mountain, which is of the local ski hills, would be the one that's farthest east. And people make the trek up there to see the sunrise on Canada Day. Those are the events, those are the things that I am talking about. Something where you get up a little bit earlier, you travel that little extra distance to get to a place and experience, maybe for the first time, maybe it's the only time that you'll be there. Would love your thoughts on that. For me, one of the things that I caught on tape that I will never forget was when I had the great opportunity to volunteer, hello Holly, to volunteer and participate in the 2010 Winter Olympics. By far the best experience of my life, actually aside from going to Nepal. I have so much video footage of that. I remember being downtown watching the gold medal game, Canada-US. I didn't have tickets to get in, but I was in the general vicinity. I was across the street from the CBC, and I ended up watching the entire game with a gentleman who was there with his wife and 3 kids, and they were from the island. And we watched that whole game together. It was like we were brothers. At the end, I think that's the only time in my life where I have hugged and cried with a grown man that I didn't know. But the reason I did was because Sid the Kid scored the golden goal, giving Canada world domination in hockey, which we will continue to, keep hold of. Scott, how are you? Hey, Jeff, what's up, brother? So, if there is anything out there, like I said, I'm one of those individuals who I like to capture the moments. I'll never forget when Barack Obama became president for the first time back in 2008. That was, say what you want to say, whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, that was an historic moment. And I just remember taking a picture of the breaking news on CNN. It's just weird things like that. So if there's something out there that you have gone out of your way to experience for the first time, because, you know, maybe it only happens once in a blue moon, as they say, we'd love to hear from you. Things caught on film. Yeah, exactly. Any rituals for spring cleaning? And like I said, we're switching things up a little bit. I've had an opportunity to think this weekend on how I want to progress with MattTv, how I can make it more enjoyable, a little simpler, even though it wasn't that complicated last week at all. But what I want to do, like tomorrow, I want to talk about, I heard an advertisement today, and there's a story out here on the West Coast, and it's not just here on the West Coast, it's a national crisis. Actually, I don't want to use that word, crisis. But I guess when we do our research about it, we'll definitely be able to come up with our own adjectives as to how serious the problem is. But what we'll be talking about tomorrow night is painkillers and how children, how teenagers, preteens are getting these prescription drugs from their parents into their hands. They're taking them themselves. They're selling them at parties. So I'm going to do my part to do the research tomorrow, and I would love for you to do perhaps your part as well. Gather some information. We'll get together here tomorrow night, and we'll have an open discussion, the pros and cons, although I don't imagine there's too many pros of children taking prescription drugs out of their parents' cabinet. So we're going to talk about painkillers and children tomorrow night on MattTv. That's just one. There are 3 other segments that I would like to, I need to fill the 60 minutes, obviously, okay? So tonight, the first 15 minutes, we've talked about spring. And I've said my piece because I have the opportunity to do that because it's my show. And stay out of the way. Yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice. You get the to-do list. That's for outside. So the first 15 minutes of the show every night, we'll give some shout-outs if anyone is celebrating a birthday. Oh, people are celebrating a birthday today. I want to say a very happy birthday to my cousins, Brian and Adam Scriver, which they just happen to be father and son. So happy birthday to Brian and Adam Scriver, and also a big shout out and a happy birthday to Krista Bird today. See, I have the power to say these things because I got my own show, and I'm just having so much fun. Thank you for enjoying MattTv, for the shares, for the comments. And I had a late night show Friday night. I had a lot of viewers, which I'm thankful for. And the audience is just getting bigger and bigger. Spread the word. Let's have some fun here. That's what it's about. Hello, Twyla. So the first 15 minutes, we'll talk about one block of thing. So we'll talk about a subject for 15 minutes, and then we'll move on. That way, when people are responding, I know what they're talking about. Because I found watching video back over the weekend, I would say something, and then maybe 2 minutes later, someone would respond to what I had said, but I had no idea what they were talking about. So if we all stay on the same subject for 15 minutes, hey, we all win. We're all on the same page there. All right. So we got 45 minutes left, and this just makes it so much easier for me. We're going to talk about circular runways here real quick, and then we're going to talk about climate change and permafrost, and then we're going to end the show talking about March Madness. And it was madness, and I'm mad at myself. I'm so mad at myself. Can you... Look, I'm probably red. I've been flushed the last couple hours. I don't know what it is. I don't think I'm drinking enough water. I don't know if you can see it here, but... Anywho. Okay. So we're coming up on quarter after. So just like clockwork, I've already done my research. So, boom! I'm just going to pull up a page. And this is from the people that are actually in charge of this project. It's called Endless Runway. And so I'm just going to read some information off the website here, and you can do the same thing. You can read along at home if you'd like. It's www.endlessrunway-project.eu. So I'm just going to read you a few paragraphs, and let's have a discussion about it, because I find it interesting. And when you watch the video, I'll post the link up on the show later on. The concept is, well, you have to see it for yourself. I'm not a big person to fly out. Yes. Oh, yeah. Jeff, you're right. I read that. It's more than just a happy birthday for Adam Scriber. He graduated. He's one of the newest RCMP officers in New Brunswick. And I'm so proud about him. You know what? The last time I saw Adam, I think he was doing security at one of the Dooryard festivals. I think that was the last time I saw Adam. So Adam, love you, very proud of you, as I'm sure all the Scribers are, and all the Grants and your extended family. Excellent job to Adam Scriber, a birthday and a graduation from the RCMP. Wow. See, that's one of those moments. That is one of those moments where you have to catch it on film. That will never happen again. He will never have a birthday and graduate as an RCMP officer. That is just amazing. Thanks for the reminder, Jeff. Appreciate it. Thank you. Back to circular runways. Now, here's what's going on. And like I said, I'm just going to read this off of the website. The endless runway is a radical and novel airport concept which applies a circular runway. The concept of the endless runway can generate a breakthrough in sustainable airport capacity by avoiding the physical constraints of conventional runways through shifting the liftoff and touchdown points of individual aircraft. So the main feature of this circular runway is that it will become possible to let an aircraft operate always at landing and takeoff with headwind, which is very important. Whatever its strength and direction, the endless runway becomes independent of the wind. When allowing limited crosswind, airspace users can shorten the global trajectory of the flights through optimized departure and arrival routes. The circle of the runway, whose diameter is set to 3 kilometers, is large enough to provide sufficient room for infrastructure, preferably inside the circle, even for a hub airport. This makes the airport compact, which allowing current day aircraft to use the circular without significant structural modifications. So, that is everything on circular runways. I'll put a link up to it afterwards. You can have a look at it yourself. This was on the BBC, report on the BBC. It has to, so all these, for years and years and years, we have been flying in a straight line. I have to wonder about just the pilots alone, how much retraining the pilots, I would think, they would have to go through. Now, I could be completely wrong, and that's where I would love to have the audience give me a hand. So we're talking about circular runways, and this was something that I saw on the weekend on the BBC. Personally, I just don't think it will fly. I don't think it will fly. Well, what do you think? Would you be comfortable after, however many flights you've ever taken in your life, would you be comfortable coming into an airport where it was just a big circle? And you're landing on corners. What do you think? Would you be interested? How would that, psychologically, you would think that would just be such a trip to look down for the first time and realize that you're not landing on something straight. It's, you'd think that you'd want to have a really, really experienced pilot. So you can think about that. You can think about circular runways. It is something that you think would happen. Is it something that is far-fetched, like wanting to have railroads moved from one point to another point inland, which is the situation we have here in White Rock? Trains that come up from the U.S., they run right along the beach in White Rock, right in through Crescent Beach, which is a sticking point for a lot of people in those communities. I think the big concern in Crescent Beach is when the trains go by, that community is completely cut off from everything. So if there was an emergency in there, a fire, whatnot, ambulance, as long as that train is there, there is no help. So I just don't, I mean, you have people who, they want to move these trains away from the beach, away from the community. But my advice is, if you know a community has train tracks, just move somewhere else. Like, really, I mean, we're 5 blocks from the beach, and I can hear the train. I can hear the train every time it goes by, regardless of if it blows the horns or not. But my hearing is frightening. Yes, circular runways. Not sure how far in the future that may be. This may just be one man's quest and his company. But watch the video. I'll put the link up on my Facebook page after the show. So in a few moments, we're going to talk about talking about permafrost and climate change. I had a discussion this morning with a couple of individuals on what their thoughts were on it. One guy had just graduated from high school not too long ago, so a little bit of insight into what he was learning in school. But getting back to the circular runways, so you have your pilots and their simulation that would be quite extensive. You'd think you would have to retrain the brain, but I could be completely wrong. Maybe the pilots are like, no, it's a very simple adjustment. But then you get into the construction aspect of it. They want to. These airports need to be built away from residential areas. You put them out in areas where perhaps they're taking up agricultural land. I think if it's not, if it doesn't need fixing, let's leave it alone. But people, I guess, they always need something to, the guy had a grant, and he explored his options and came up with this, and it's obviously gone as far where the BBC is now reporting on it. So interesting, something that you definitely might want to check out. Yeah, you're right, Jeff. There are, actually, I remember years ago actually flying with Mr. Peabody. Mr. Peabody, myself, the 2 PPD boys, and there was another gentleman with us, and I can't remember his name, but it was a heavy plane, and we took off out of Holton. And once we get up to a pretty good altitude, Mr. Peabody thought it would be funny to cut the engine. One of the most terrifying things. But yeah, it would be. But he is I don't know if Mr. Peabody has ever spent any time in a commercial airliner, but it would definitely be interesting to get perspective of pilots. Actually, I know a gentleman who is a pilot. And actually, I'm going to just write his name down right now. I'm just going to write down pilot friend. And just maybe get some perspective. You're right. Just talk to old pilot and see if it's a good idea. Yay or nay on the circular runway. Coming up on 25 minutes after 6, this is MattTv. We're doing it live on Facebook. Thank you so much for being here tonight. Great weekend. I was saying right off the top, Saturday was at a great friend's 50th birthday party, which rolled right into my 16th wedding anniversary, which rolled right into the first day of spring. So an excellent weekend indeed. Oh, Chris is a pilot too. Okay, I did not know that. Well, it makes sense, right? But yeah, I remember years ago working for the radio station covering the spring thaw when the ice was breaking up. And I ended up going up in one of those ultralights where my knees were right up by my chin. I was just like sitting like this. That was the year when we were flying towards the Grafton Bridge. He said, do you want to go over it or under it? I said, well, I've been over it 100 times, so let's go under it. So that we did. That was pretty scary. Well, yes, be an interesting perspective to see what pilots would think about this circular rings. So, something to think about. So I think we're just going to move along. We're going to move along to the next topic. Hello, Kevin. So you have some things to think about. We were talking about, have you ever gone out of your way to see something for the first time, or you know that if you don't see it now, you'll never have the opportunity to do it again? Do you capture it on video? This morning, I woke up at 3:29 because that was the moment that spring arrived according to the calendar. So I woke up just to say, hey, spring, how's it going? I made it through winter. So have you ever recorded something just for the sake of you just have to capture that moment? And of course you have. We all have. Just share it. That's what this program is all about, sharing and loving and just being excited for each other. So let's move on to, we're going to talk about permafrost in northern Canada, and we're talking about climate change and whether you either are a believer or you're not a believer. You either believe in the science. Hey, Ton, you either believe in the science or you don't believe in the science. So, once again, I've just gone ahead and found some sites that try and give me some balanced information. So I can take stuff out of what I find, and if you find something, like I said, this platform needs to be balanced. So I throw out a topic, and by all means, if there is a topic that you want to discuss, just let me know, and I'll work it into the weekly show. If you think about 4 topics a night at 5 shows, there's 20 topics right there. So I am continuously, when I see something, I make note of it. I make a note on my phone, or if I have a piece of paper, I write it down. I'm always gathering ideas, right? So if there's something that you would like to talk about, send me a note with a link. We can do our research and we can have a discussion right here. It's so easy because you can see and hear me and I can read what you're saying. So it's kind of like I'm having all these little multiple interviews with people right here on Facebook Live, and I appreciate you being a part of the audience tonight. Thank you so much. So I just want to read a little bit. This is from www.cleantechnica.com. We're talking about permafrost, specifically in. I'm a sponge when it comes to things, yes. And I was told on the weekend that I laugh at pretty much everything, which I laughed at, which was, you get it. So I'm just going to read a little bit off here. So I encourage you at home. We're talking about permafrost. We're talking about climate change. If there's information out there that you would like to pass along with the people that are watching right now, or are going to watch it later on, feel free. It's an open platform. Hey, Phil. So permafrost thaw and decay is intensifying in northern Canada. Now, this is according to recent research from the Northwest Territories Geological Survey. To be more specific, the research found that out of a 500,000 square mile section of Northwest Canada, now this is the part the researchers analyzed, roughly 52,000 square miles is undergoing permafrost decay and collapse. Hello, Nick. That's not good. So, how much is 52,000 square miles? If you're familiar with American geography, you can probably Google it, but just think it's the size of the state of Alabama. So right now, there is a section of permafrost in northern Canada the size of Alabama. That's not good. But why does this matter? Well, because all the carbon that was bound up in that frozen mud and dirt is now free to be released. And I saw a video on the weekend where they were actually, a lady had a torch in one hand, and the gentleman that was with her had like a stick that he was just jamming into the muskeg. And he was releasing gas, and the force of the gas coming out of the ground was knocking this woman over. Okay? So when the permafrost melts, this gas escapes. That's not good for us, okay? What else can we say here? Okay, so it's being released one way or another. So as the newly melted permafrost continues breaking down, methane will be released directly. And as erosion into tributary rivers and the Arctic Ocean itself increases, breakdown and carbon release from the ocean will increase. So, I'm just going to go back to my Facebook page. I just completely lost my thought here. And for that, I apologize. There was, like I said, so we're talking about, right now we're talking about permafrost and decay in in northern Canada. Now I don't think there can't be any sitting on the fence. You either believe that there is climate change or you don't. And I think the people that realize, and we know this, the people that realize that climate change is real are now the ones that are at the forefront educating people on how to stop it, how to slow it down. So we all need to pay attention to these people. That's just my own personal opinion. If you disagree with me at any point, please let me know. Send me a comment. Send me a link that disputes what I'm saying. I'm on a site right now, nationalgeographic.com. Is global warming real? I don't consider National Geographic to be fake news, okay? In my mind, they are credible. So again, this is all information that you can go look at. Here we are. This is what I wanted to... here's another. This is climate.nasa.gov. So here's a quote from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Scientific evidence for warming of the climate system is unequivocal. Unequivocal. Woo. Unequivocal. So if you need evidence, if you need proof, yes, peace, Ton. Let's talk sometime, brother. Yeah, and that's one of the arguments, William. Not really an argument. But yeah, we go through cycles. We go through ice ages. We go through mini ice ages. So there's so much data to be collected, and there's so many people throwing their opinions into the ring. At the end of the day, you really have to make up your own mind, do you not? Rising sea levels. Global sea level rose about 6.7 inches in the last century. You know, we have communities out here, Richmond, out by YVR, sea level. There's a lot of communities in the lower mainland that are sea level. Global temperature rise. Warming oceans. Shrinking ice sheets. All you have to do is look at satellite photography. Look at satellite photography just before and after pictures over the years. To me, that but you'll have people that will say that it's Photoshop or whatever. You're always going to have the conspiracy theorist, but it's satellite imagery. Shrinking ice sheets, which is why I want to see in my day. You know, of course, all I have to do is get on a cruise and take a Norwegian cruise and head up north. But I want to see icebergs, and I want to see the big ice fields and the glaciers. Declining Arctic sea ice, glacier retreat, extreme events, ocean acidification, decreased snow cover. Like there is, I encourage you to just do your research and get informed as to what's going on. I find it fascinating and great that we discover all these planets, possible life on Mars. But we're on this planet. And this is the only planet we have. We just have to start treating Mother Earth way better. Way better. So yes, do you have any concerns in your own community when it comes to the environment? Is your community doing enough? Yeah, it's definitely, but I think we all have to be on, we all got to get on the same page when it comes to, you know, doing our part to lower the emissions. See, that's the thing. Like, we have private companies who are building these machines that can take lucky individuals into Mars or up into space. And that's all fine and dandy. But we need to, as a species, realize that, we're all on this rock together. And we all just need to start, getting along and stop being so divisive. Even even Bill Nye the Science Guy. Like I said, you can go to nationalgeographic.com and make up your own mind as to whether or not climate change is real. If you're doing your part to educate people. If anything, if we can do anything, it's to use this platform right here to educate people that maybe they don't care. Maybe they just don't care. We're going to be talking about March Madness here coming up in a couple minutes. Yeah, we have to. You're right, Kevin. We have to take care of. Where we are. Then that starts with your own home, your own neighborhood, your own community, your own province, and it just goes on and on and on. Thanks, babe. So I was a little disappointed with myself over the weekend. I did not see any basketball. March Madness is a huge tournament for me. I love it. I fill up my brackets every year, except for this year. So we're going to talk about March Madness coming up here in just a few moments. If you are just joining the program now, it's coming up on 20 minutes before 7 o'clock here on the West Coast. It's the first evening of spring. We navigated through 3 months of winter, and I'm glad you navigated through your first Monday of spring. It's the 20th. It's March already. Wow, we are just cruising through the month, and 1 month from today, to be exact, I'll be in New York City with my daughter and my niece Anna. We'll stay there for a night or so, and then start making our way back out here to Vancouver. So we're just, it'll be 3 weeks tomorrow. 3 weeks tomorrow. And my daughter and I will be getting on a Greyhound bus in Vancouver and making the 4-day trek across the U.S. to Boston, Massachusetts, to watch my sister in the Boston Marathon. And then we'll come back out here. So that's going to be a fun trip. And we'll talk more about that as the time draws near. I don't think we have to worry about any permafrost in the part of the country that we're going to, but it is concerning. It is concerning when you, and I think my wife put me onto this story here, and I think she originally saw a piece on Vice, which is a great investigative show on HBO. So I think that's where she saw it and passed the information along to me. Obviously, this is not nearly as entertaining as the program Vice. But like I said, this is an open platform. I'm giving you topics at the beginning of the show that we can talk about. I try and give those topics and tee those up the morning of the show. So kind of give you an idea of what I'm going to be talking about. And if there's any ideas out there that you would like to talk about, share them before the show, Maybe we can work him into a later show in the week, but this is an open platform for everyone. Believe it or not, you are helping me as much as I am helping you, if I'm helping you at all. And that's just by having great conversations, being energetic, being fun, and just staying connected. And like I said in a few shows ago, this is what I need. I need to be connected with people. So spring, like I said, hope everyone navigated through a great first day of spring. We're looking forward to, we're just going to get some rain here this week. And I know there's still a pile of snow back east. And don't worry, it's spring on the calendar. And spring will be there probably in a month or so. I'm just hoping that the weather is nice going through the U.S. here in a month's time. So just to recap a few things we were talking about before we get into March Madness. Is there any event, sporting event, or just a moment that you just had to capture on film? Like I was saying, I know people who on Canada Day will go to Mount Seymour early in the morning to be up there for sunrise, to see that, to be the first people to see sunrise on Canada Day. And there was footage a few years ago where everyone broke out singing "O Canada." Moments for me filming downtown Vancouver, moments after Canada won gold in the 2010 Olympics. That footage I still have, and that is footage that I am so glad that I have. And I was just so stoked to be part of that 2 week. Wow, what a party. Later, Kevin. Be safe on the island. We'll talk soon, man. Love you, miss you. We'll talk soon, man. Thanks for popping into MattTv, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate it. We talked a little bit about circular runways. I saw this story on the weekend on the BBC. Would it be cool with you? Would you be okay being on a plane that was landing at a circular runway? So you kind of land on the outer runway and you just slowly make your way in towards the center. A lot of it has to do with wind speed and just read the information. I'll put the stuff up on my site after the show because I don't know pilot lingo, so I don't want to leave everyone scratching their head, man. Like, okay, you made sense there for about 42 minutes. Sorry for the sound of me drinking water. We are. I love sporting events. I love going to baseball games, football. It doesn't really matter. You get in that mood where you just need to be around 30, 40,000 people, depending on the event. You go to a Seahawks game, yeah, there's 50, 60,000 people who never sit down and they never stop screaming the whole game. But I want to talk about the last few moments of the show here. I want to talk about March Madness. And for those that don't know what March Madness is, it's the NCAA college basketball tournament for men. The women have a tournament as well. I'm pretty sure it runs the same time, but there is absolutely, from what I know, no television coverage. Maybe on the internet, but you would be very, very pressed to find women's basketball, especially NCAA basketball, even though the tournament is the exact same, which is a shame. So, anywho, roundabout. You, Wayne. Oh my! I love you, man. Yes. Be safe, Wayne. Thanks for dropping in. Thanks for dropping. See, you know what, Wayne? I sometimes think that I can be witty and funny. I wouldn't have thought of roundabouts for planes, but I'm glad you did. Can I use that? Hi, Beth. Yeah, I totally. I was talking about March Madness. March Madness. College basketball. I always fill out the bracket every year. The tournament usually starts on a Wednesday because the last 8 teams trying to get in, or the last 4 teams trying to get in. So they have like a mini tournament before the big tournament. But I always fill the bracket out. And I completely forgot this year. I didn't even print a bracket off. And I had no idea, completely forgot about it, until I saw Keith Robinson had a post up on Facebook yesterday, talking about how he went 26 for 32 in the first weekend, which is actually really good, Keith. You should be proud. That's good. And then I was like, oh, basketball, March Madness. I completely forgot. It wasn't until 3:15 yesterday afternoon was the first time I turned on the TV to see any college basketball. It had been on since Wednesday. I was so disappointed. So I just want to pull something up here. Okay. So for those that are interested in what's happening in March Madness, the Sweet 16 is set. So I'm just going to pull up. And it was one of those things where you're watching Sports Center and they're telling you about all the upsets and blah, 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 and you know that you missed everything. But that's what that first weekend of this tournament is all about. Major upsets. Last year's national champion, Villanova, number 1 seed, done. That's the beauty. That's why they call it March Madness. 12 seeds are still in. So we have... Okay, here we are. So here's the Sweet 16 matchup. So this is the East Regional. So if you are someone who has money on these teams, maybe you're in Vegas or you're just betting with friends. So the East Regional has number 4 Florida playing number 8 Wisconsin. And Wisconsin, there's something about Wisconsin when it comes to March Madness. They are always fighters. They're always in there. Would not be surprised to see Wisconsin beat number 4 Florida. We have number 3 Baylor taking on number 7 South Carolina. So that's the East Regional. Midwest Regional, number 1 Kansas taking on number 4 Purdue. Number 3 Oregon is playing number 7 Michigan. The South Regional, number 1 Carolina, number 4 Butler, and number 2 Kentucky playing number 3 UCLA. So there's some pretty... the highest seed in there right now is number 8, and that's Wisconsin at an 8 seed. That's the highest seed right now. West Regional, we have number 1 Gonzaga playing number 4 West Virginia. Arizona playing Xavier, 11 seed. Wow. So Xavier was the highest seed, making it into the Sweet 16. So if you still have a team, congratulations to you. So that aside, the question to you is, now the NCAA tournament, so they'll have a venue in, I know they had a venue in South Carolina. So that venue in South Carolina will host games all weekend long, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then all the regional games will be at another venue. For me, when it comes to sporting events, so my question to you is, what was your very first sporting event? What was your largest sporting event? And I talked about mine earlier tonight. My biggest sporting event that I was actually had the opportunity to participate in was the Olympics. I was a volunteer at the Olympics, and just the vibe in the city was tremendous, and there was thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of people here all weekend. Now I know that's different from being inside a venue with lots of people. I think of a Seahawks game at Quest Field in Seattle. That stadium probably holds 50, 60,000 people, if not more. I want to say more. But that is just, it is so loud and it is so crazy in there. My first, I can still remember this like it was yesterday, the first time I ever went to a major sporting event was back when I was probably 8 or 9, maybe less, maybe younger, maybe less, maybe younger than 8 or 9. But my brother Mike and I, Jeff and my dad, we went to Boston, Massachusetts. We went to Fenway Park for a 3-game series between the Kansas City Royals and the Red Sox, obviously. And that's back when George Brett and Bo Jackson was playing for Kansas City. And we were all big fans of Bo Jackson just because it was Bo Jackson. He was the it guy. He was the thing during that time, right? And of course, when we went down in batting practice in the first game, he got hurt. We never saw Bo Jackson the whole 3-game series. But that was my first sporting event. That was really my first trip into '89. Okay, that was really my first trip into a big city. Growing up in Woodstock, New Brunswick, going to Massachusetts, and that was really an eye opener in so many regards. Not really understanding the athletes themselves and how much money they were making. Then realizing years later that these athletes are all, for the most part, millionaires, and they are going out to play something that they love, and obviously something that they are very, very good at. But the one thing that I couldn't wrap my head around was, as we were walking towards Fenway Park, in the motel we were in, Fenway Park cast a shadow over it. That's how close we were. But I remember walking to Fenway Park, stepping over people, going out around people, trying not to make eye contact with people, trying not to talk to people because I didn't know them, but they were all asking me questions. Or not questions, but they wanted to talk to me. I had to ask my father, who are these people? What is happening here? That was my first encounter with homeless people. I didn't know that at the time. I was from a small town. I didn't know that not everyone had a place to live. So that was quite a great trip, an eye-opener. So that was my first experience. I don't think I've ever... One of the moments that I'll never forget was going back to the Olympics when Canada had beaten the U.S. in overtime to win the gold, and I found myself uptown around the Vancouver Library. And of course, most of the streets were closed off just because there were thousands of people everywhere. But I think the best moment for me was being up around the Robson Square area, just like shoulder to shoulder with people, with my video camera taking footage with thousands and thousands of people breaking out into O Canada. That was awesome. So just throwing it out there, I've given you some of my favorite sporting events. My memory of Toronto, William, was going to back when it was the Sky Dome and watching the original Kiss with makeup at the Sky Dome was one of my very few memories of Toronto. Lollapalooza in Barrie, Ontario was another huge event. Not a sporting event, but an event with thousands and thousands of people. I went with 3 other guys, Dwayne, Peter, and Jeff. And within 2 hours of getting in, we got separated. And I didn't see any of those guys for 12 hours later. So I pretty much went to Lollapalooza by myself. But that's what happens when you get in... will always be the Dome to me, yeah. But that's what happens when you get in with, thousands and thousands of people. You separate for 5 minutes. You might as well say bye, because you're not going to see him again. Woo! So we got about 7 minutes left. 7 minutes left here on MattTv for Monday night, this first evening of spring. Thank you so much for being a part of this program. I really missed you all weekend. So I'll be back tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. But like I was saying from the beginning, whether you're watching it live right now or you're watching it at your leisure, I've had the opportunity over the weekend to think about how I want this to move forward and how I want this to progress. And I know a big part of it depends on you. Not for the feedback, but in the direction that this show is going to go. Obviously, me being I had a great weekend, a great weekend. Obviously, me being the creative director, obviously going to have the final say. But that's what I'm trying to say is I want to bring topics of discussion to you, and I would love you to bring topics of discussion to me and to everyone else that is on this platform. Tonight we talked about circular runways. I gave my thoughts on it. I did a little bit of research. We talked about permafrost. Put up some links for you to check out. And March Madness, we kind of ended on a fun note. And of course, the first day of spring. So I realized by watching video over the weekend that I just seemed to was giving too much. And I was getting confused with the comments coming back because I had already moved on to another project or another topic. So I'm just going to limit the topics, but that's where I would certainly love your help. And there's no pressure. If there's something that you want to talk about, if there's a topic that you want to talk about, maybe shine a little more light onto something, then let's use this platform to do that. Works for me. I can tell you right now, tomorrow night we're going to talk about prescription drugs and how kids are getting their hands on these prescription drugs from their parents, other kids' parents, and they're either taking them themselves, they are selling them. It's just a bad scenario. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow night. We'll see if I can gather some facts. If that's a topic that interests you on some level, you can always find a link and send me some information or share that information tomorrow night. That's totally up to you. That's what this program is going to be all about. It's called MattTV. We do it on Facebook Live. We're going to do it Monday through Friday at 6 o'clock Pacific here on the West Coast. That's 10 o'clock Atlantic Canada, 10:30 Newfoundland. And I certainly appreciate, and this is a big shout out to all those back on the East Coast. I know there's a 4-hour time difference, and you have no idea how much I appreciate you ending your night with me here on MattTV. We've got about 4 minutes left. I just want to, again, I want to give a big shout out to my cousins Brian and Adam Scriver. They're having birthdays today, father and son having birthdays, but the even extra special, the extra layer of frosting on the cake is Adam. Not only is it his birthday today and he's celebrating it with his father, he's also a most recent graduate into the RCMP. So good on you, Adam. That's some good news, man. That's real trippy, man, and I'm so glad that I could share that here on MattTV. Also, happy birthday to Krista Bird. Woo! So if you like what you see and hear on MattTV, good, bad, the ugly, we'll take it all. Constructive criticism is what it's all about. I'm always searching for interesting topics. I'm always searching for interesting topics, and that's what is going to make this program spin and keep going in the right direction. We're going to build up an audience. We're going to have some fun because I just can't operate any other way. So again, thank you so much for watching live. I hope you really had a great winter. 2016, 2017, 3 months of winter. I know there are some areas on the country that are still under a lot of snow, but you know there is light at the end of the tunnel. Hello, Mom. So again, my name is Matthew. My last name is Grant. I so appreciate all the views, all the likes, all the shares, all the comments. This is something that I'm really excited about. And I feel that we're all getting in on the ground floor. And I'm the type of individual that I don't put hurdles up in front of myself. I see everything as limitless. There are no bounds. Just anything is possible. Always continue to achieve, always set goals, always stay positive, always surround yourself with positivity. And you will be surprised how happy you'll be. Just be happy. Make other people happy. Smile at people. Start a conversation off by giving someone a compliment. I'm going to end the show the same way I started, by saying thank you, thank you, thank you. My name is Matthew. This is MattTV. We do it live on Facebook Live Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock here on the west coast of British Columbia in the best country in the world, Canada. Goodbye, Nick. Mike, peace. We'll see you tomorrow night. Thanks for the likes. Thanks for the love. Like I said, we'll close off. Ideas for tomorrow night. We will definitely be talking about painkillers and children getting their hands on painkillers. If you have any stories, if you have anything you want to share, if there's any information you want to share with me, you can do it before tomorrow night. Okay? That's one of the things we'll be talking about. Looking for 3 more. So let's all have some fun. Let's all educate each other. And we can do it right here. We can do it right here, Monday through Friday, 6 o'clock, Facebook Live. This is Matt TV. Peace. Love you. Good night.